right. So I am very, very, very excited to have my good friend and former client with me today. Her name is Chanda, and she's going to be sharing her story. I met Chanda. We started chatting online, and eventually, she, well, I wouldn't say she ever stopped being a skeptic, but she was very skeptical from the very beginning through all of our conversations. And somehow at some point she took a leap of faith and decided to join my program, the chronic pain breakup method. She did all of the work in the program and now is on the other side of that program and is here today to share her story. So I am so excited and honored to be here chatting with you, Chanda, today. Would you mind telling everybody a little bit about who you are and why are you here?
Well, I might be too old for TikTok, but it's really much the best thing that's ever happened to me because that's where I found you. So yeah, let's see. Okay, my name is Chanda. I was born, and my first memory of life, which would be probably around 3 years old, was really severe back pain. As an only child and someone with not much parental influence and not very many friends, I really didn't know it was abnormal. I just assumed that all humans that stood upright were in pain when they were standing. Learned later that was not true. So I went through my first 15 years. I could walk, run, ride horse. I trained horses. I could do anything. I just couldn't stand without really severe pain. I was also passing out randomly for apparently no reason. Who knows? Starting at age 3, so I got all the way to 15 when my migraines started, and I had really severe migraines that were nearly constant. Fun times. Again, I didn't know that was abnormal, and really from like kind of late teens on, my pain started increasing more and more and more. I never really told anyone or did anything about it. So my back pain got worse. Walking started to be a problem. Standing was still getting worse and worse and worse. Like the amount of time I could stand was getting shorter and shorter and shorter. So let's see. My pain was increasing through my 20s into my 30s, getting worse and worse. It was spreading to other areas. I was having a lot of joint problems. Still didn't realize it was abnormal. Still didn't really tell anyone or seek help. When I was 42, I was in a car accident. That was just over 8 years ago. And then that's when stuff got way worse. I really couldn't stand at all. I could walk maybe like 10 feet without like just, it was horrific. So I started using a wheelchair about 8 years ago. I'm a full-time wheelchair user. And slowly my pain got worse and worse and worse into more areas of my body. More joints were affected. Just, I was a mess. And that's when I started seeking help. So I saw like more than 40 doctors in the first few years after my car accident. They all pretty much invalidated me and gaslit me and, gave me like a diagnosis of like fibromyalgia, like just like that, like, oh, you're in pain, you have fibro. And I was like, okay, maybe. They started diagnosing me with a lot of mental illnesses that I didn't have, because they just thought I was literally a crazy person, that there was nothing wrong with me and you're just crazy. So you have conversion disorder and you, because you pass out, you're bipolar, heavily medicated for all that. But there came a point somewhat quickly where I was like, I don't have these mental illnesses, and it's not fibromyalgia. It's very specific things that I did, or specific areas of my body, specifically joints, blah, blah. So I kind of started to reject those in my mind when I was seeking help. And so when I started to reject those, I also started to try like a lot of things outside the norm. So we're talking like elimination diets and weird herbal teas from acupuncturists and chiropractic. And I've tried massage, I've done yoga and Pilates. And I mean, just like literally every possible thing that anyone had ever, you should try eating beets. Like, I don't know, like literally anything. I have tried it all of it, everything. I spent $5,000 doing like a functional neuro rehab that was supposed to cure me of my dysautonomia and my migraines. $5,000 a week-long intensive, and they made me worse. That was cool. Good job. So I did come to find myself, like through my own research, that I did have a lot of different like actual things that weren't just fibromyalgia or a mental illness. So I do have a lot of physical things that are actually wrong with me, but knowing what they were didn't actually help my pain at all. So by the time I found you on TikTok, I was in really bad shape.
Yeah.
I couldn't do really anything. I was laying right there in my bed for like years. Like,
yeah, when we met and we talked, I remember kind of going through the list of like symptoms and diagnoses and thing after thing. And I don't even know if you probably even remember, but you might have been like, this might scare you away. But I'm like, I'm up for the challenge. Let's give it a try. I mean, knowing what I know and what I know understand about the nervous system, there's an element of that going on here too. Like we talked about this at great length, but like if you have a disease or a genetic condition, we're not going to cure that. We're not going to make that disappear. If you have like a disc herniation or whatever it is, it's not going to go away. But that doesn't mean that we can't make you feel better or help you feel better by addressing this other part of the problem, which I think was a missing piece. That you said that you had tried everything. And I talked to a lot of people, and a lot of people with chronic pain who I talk to say this very similar thing. I have tried everything, but I think you win. I think you win that race of like who has tried everything. Because like even, when we first talked, we talked about like, well, what have you tried? And then even like during the program, every time we talked again and again, I'd be like, oh, she didn't mention that one before, but throw that on the list too, because she just didn't mention it.
I can't keep track of all of the different things I tried. The literal hundreds of thousands of dollars that I spent on things that either didn't help at all or made me worse. Most of them made me worse. All the injections, all the medications, like all like that all worse. It's really frustrating. I questioned my own sanity like hundreds of times. I'm like, maybe I am just crazy. Like maybe there's nothing wrong with me. I tried to convince myself at one point that pain felt good.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna love this pain. Oh yeah, it feels good. Like it's not a bad thing. Pain's a good, like, I was out of my mind at that point. Just
I remember working through that quite a bit together. Like, and I think that's part of this. It was a learned coping strategy. It was like, well, it's something else to try, and if you don't know what else to do, I can understand exactly why you would put yourself through that. Not that that sounds like putting yourself through it, but like trying to reframe pain as if it's a positive or pleasurable experience in a strange backwards way. It makes sense.
that's inspiration right there.
Yeah. And so I love that, the reason you, I think, came into my world with so much skepticism was because of all of those past experiences of like trying something and it failing, or trying and it making you worse. And so, I don't know, was there something that stood out to you that was like, oh, I think this is different than everything else that I have tried?
Yeah, there certainly were. I mean, we talked a lot. Like we talked on the phone. We talked over, like messages, like whatever messages. And I know that I can be sometimes like annoying when I'm just like not understanding something and then just trying to ask question after Must have been really difficult for you.
I don't think it's annoying or difficult. I like the questions. It's inquisitive.
But I think it was really difficult for me because I didn't know what was in the program. So, like, you're trying to describe what the program can do, but I just could not fathom like how that was possible. But I think the thing that really did is when you explained to me how you learned this information and that it was all science. There was no, like, I remember at my functional neurologist, whatever, 5-day intensive, blah, blah, blah. They kept telling me, you have to believe that it will work or it won't work. And I was like, what? Like, then it won't work. Like, that's placebo. Like, this is not going to work on me. I don't believe anything, really. I don't believe that something is going to work and then it does. Like, that's not how science works. That's like, that doesn't make sense to me. So with your schooling and how you came to understand this information being purely science-based, and the fact that I could go into this program not believing anything. All I had to do was put in the work, learn the information, and change what happened, whether I believed it would or not. So understanding your schooling, and you didn't like, like when I first saw you on TikTok, I thought, well, did she just come up with this on her own? Is this just through experience with working with other people? Like, no, you learned stuff and, all kinds of degrees and interesting, sciencey things. And that, those two things of like, I don't have to just believe, like, this is not a placebo. Like, this is actual science. And the fact that you have so much schooling and so much knowledge that is just that I didn't even know existed. Those were the kind of the two things I think that got me to say, all right, I'm gonna spend the money and I'm gonna do this one last thing. Like, cross my fingers.
Yeah, a big leap of faith in a sense of like, I hate to do this again. And I feel like I even remember you saying like, I can't let my husband down again by spending out, like asking him if it's okay if I spend some more money on one more thing that doesn't work. Like, for me to like even ask you to join this program and put that risk out there, I was like, this has to work. It has to work. And
yeah, it's really difficult for me, not being able to work and having to, spend my husband's money. I'm like, sorry, you can't do anything fun. I'm going to spend your money on myself again.
Right. That is like a very, and in not just in this case, but I think it's a thing that a lot of people actually struggle with chronic pain, is that it's purely when you do something like this, or you do something for yourself or your self-care or your health care, it feels very selfish. But I try to look at it and like, I don't know if you can agree or not, but I try to look at it like, you doing this for yourself allows you to free up life that you can share with your spouse. And so like, those were some of the things that I think we talked about when we were working through like, well, what are your goals? Like, why do you want less pain? Why are you here? And we were talking about like you being able to do stuff and go out with your husband and have a social life again and go be an advocate, and possibly if you wanted to get a job or do something of purpose or meaning, like beyond the bedroom.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, I mean, he's had to do, at least for the last 8 years. It's really heartbreaking when your husband's like, "Oh, do you want to go do this with my friends?" And I'm like, I can't. Go ahead. And then I'm watching every day. I'm watching him walk out the door, and it's like, whoo, whoo. Like, it's so painful. Like, I'll just be here in the bed waiting for you to get back. Like that. Yeah, you're right. Like, being able to feel better to the point where when he invites me somewhere, I can go. Or yeah, just be able to, yeah, it really was equal for both of us, I think.
Yeah.
In the end, me actually feeling better and him actually having a wife again. Might be nice.
Yeah. So that kind of brings me to a very lofty question, which is, would you say or would your husband say it was worth the investment?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, one of the things I kind of want to talk, can I talk about my goals in the answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So um, it's been a very long time since I've been able to do anything at all. And so my two goals were really to be able to work out again and lift weights. Because I've always, despite my horrific pain throughout my life, I've always been extremely physically active, and laying in a bed for many years, it just destroys you. Like, oh, it's just awful. And so my goal was to be able to start lifting weights again so I could get strong. As a full-time wheelchair user, like the amount of strength that you need to just get from your car to a business is like, it is not like walking. I mean, it
Oh,
is daunting.
yeah.
um, so I really wanted to get strong again so that I could go places and do things and be able to go places and do things with my husband. So, um, being able to actually accomplish those goals, it makes me feel like a human again.
Mhm. So you went from not working out at all to what are you doing now?
So now I swim every other day at my gym. And then on the off days, also every other day, I lift free weights.
Mhm.
And I'm really I don't know if permissive is the right word, but if I'm having a day where I have a migraine, like no problem, I don't go to the gym. If I feel like I've worked enough and I need a couple days break, the body needs rest, I take a break. My goal is kind of swim every other day and lift every other day with these breaks when needed. So being able to be at a gym and like lifting weights and like feeling stronger, seeing muscles grow, like makes me feel like a human again. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing worse than having migraines and you can't use your brain, and then you're in so much pain you can't use your body, you can't do anything. So being able to have less migraines and less pain and being able to work out and get stronger to allow me to be able to do the things with my husband, or maybe possibly even work someday, that would be nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm working out nearly every day, and then I'm also able to really go and do things with my husband or with my friends. And I used to be able to do maybe one small thing a week, and then I would have like 4 days of just hell paying for it. And
Yeah.
now I've actually just done, just this week, like what's it, Wednesday? I drove an hour and 10 minutes to get my hair cut, and I shopped for a dress for a wedding we're going to. Yesterday, I did something during the day. I can't even remember what it was. And then I had a wheelchair like support group meeting, and we went to that. Got home at like 9 o'clock. Woke up this morning, took the dog for a walk, like doing this thing. Tomorrow I have something. Like next day, like I have stuff like I'm doing things every day. Like
Yeah.
that's crazy.
That's amazing. And I think too, like I think what's important to mention too is what a lot of people I think are afraid of. It's not just, you're not just going to the gym and like pushing yourself to go to the gym. You're actually having less pain and less days of pain than before. Can you share what like you were saying your numbers were for your migraine days?
Oh yes. So for most of the time I've had migraines, they were constant, um, at a pretty high level, like a 7 to a 9. It would fluctuate around there, but I never had a day where I'm like, I have no pain in my head. Like I've not had that. I also had a lot of troubles like forming sentences, so I'd be trying to go about my day. Um, and like I couldn't even speak. Like it was awful. And due to a medication, I got it down before I met you. I got it down to 20 days a month, which still sounds like a lot, but I did have some days where I actually didn't have a migraine in my
Mhm.
head. They were only a day or maybe 2 days, a
Mhm.
day. Um, so when I met you, it was 20 days a month. I never really had anything under. I did sometimes have something over. 20 days a month. And there were months where I had a migraine every single day. Um, but now,
So
after the,
at its best, you'd have a month of 20 out of 30 days basically with migraine. Yeah.
yeah, that was the best that it was before I
Okay.
met you. And now I've gotten down to 15 days, which also still sounds like a lot, but to have, 15 other days, like today, I have zero pain in my brain. I can mostly form sentences, mostly. I mean, I'm just not having, I can think, I can talk, I have lights on me right now. When I have a migraine, I'm extremely light
Dark.
sensitive.
Yeah.
Not like to outdoor light, but to light shining in my eyes. Right now I have two lights shining in my eyes. I feel perfectly fine. So really, I've kind of, in a way, cut them in half.
Mhm.
And I do feel like over time, I might be able to get them lower and lower and lower because I feel like I'm still having improvements in
Yeah.
that area. I
Good.
mean, this is a more than 35-year problem of migraines. So it's perfectly natural to me for it to take a little bit longer than maybe some of the other pain that
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah. And with that being said, when when you look at like your whole story and you realize that you had pain from like as young as you can remember. So a lifetime of pain, and in a matter of I don't know how many weeks, less than 16 weeks, this has started to change, and you tried everything else, and this is like the first thing that's been a natural solution aside from the medications that has had an impact on pain. And yeah, that's a relatively short period of time to see that kind of an improvement. And yeah, it may take a little bit longer, but I think that what you like you said, it's still a work in progress. I think there's still room for improvement there. And I love that you're having so more pain less days, not pain less, but like less
Yeah.
pain, but you better days. You're having more good days than you used to and
Yeah.
less bad days. And hopefully too, I don't know if this is true, but like the bad days are better than they used to be.
Yeah. Yeah. It was surprising to me when I started the program because, of course, I had no belief that it would work. Um, and really, it took me maybe 3 weeks to get through and really kind of start to comprehend what this program was about and understand like how it applied to me. Um, but once I'm like, okay, I'm now understanding the content that I'm supposed to be understanding. I noticed changes then. It's not like I went through the whole program and then at the end, I'm like, okay, well, now I'm starting to feel better. The educational component of it made change. It was crazy. It made changes in my body that did not make sense to me in any way. I'm like, how can just knowing this information change my entire body? Like what kind of craziness is this? And it was shocking because I started working out and lifting weights and swimming in the program, not at the end, in the beginning-ish, like maybe a third of the way through. I started accomplishing my goals a third of the way through, just in the educational component of the program. And I was like, oh yeah, this is the first thing that's working and
Yeah.
doing anything.
And I think that is something, well, it's something that I know that happens because I see this sort of thing happening all the time. But I want to highlight that to anybody who's watching or listening, because what she just said is so important, because everyone comes to the program, or everyone comes to me telling me, what are the drills? What are the strategies? What do I need to do? You want to know what you can do. What you really want to know that you need to do is learn. You
Yeah.
actually have to learn. And that is something so big, like that clients will see the biggest transformation in just the learning phases of understanding the neuroscience. I don't know. I can't even tell you exactly why all of that works the way it does, because the drills themselves make a lot of sense and I can explain the hell out of them from a
Yeah.
scientific standpoint. But
But you can't just do the drills. You
you
have
don't, you can't.
to. Yeah. Yeah.
The science is so important, even just by itself. If I just taught the science and stopped there and didn't teach the drills, I'd argue that we'd almost have some of the same benefits out
Yeah.
of this program. And
That's where I got most of the benefits, was the educational part. And it's really information that, like, I mean, when I learn things most of the time, like all through school, all the things that I research on the internet, all the things that I learn, I almost already kind of know them before I even start learning. And maybe things get situated a little differently in my mind or whatever. But this was information that I had never come across. I 100% did not know any of this when I started. And learning it was just mind blowing. And I can now, like, spot other people, even just on the internet, in the words that they type. I'm like, oh, I know what's going on there. I can't tell them because they'll think I'm crazy, because it's mind blowing how interesting the nervous system is, and that you can actually affect change to it. Like, what? Like, crazy. It's mind blowing.
it's so fascinating. And again, like that's why I had to like leave the physical clinic and like get out of that world that is so ignorant to it, like the healthcare system. Like I get asked that, like one of the questions, this is a very similar conversation that I hear all the time from clients, is like, number one, this makes so much sense, this is mind blowing, and number two, why don't our doctors know this shit? Because it's real science. It's not like, it's not like I've made it up, like you said. I didn't just come up with this and like, woo, let's think our way out of pain. It's
Yeah.
real, it's concrete science, and yet it's just not happening in the healthcare system. And I don't really have a great answer as to why your doctors don't talk about it, aside from insurance and time and ignorance, and the system is broken. And we definitely don't need to have that conversation today, but it is, the science itself it's curative. I don't want to say curative, but it's extremely important. And to anyone out there who's like, Alyssa, just tell me the drills, like I don't want to, because them by themselves, I don't know if they'll do it, but you got to have that piece too.
I mean, the science part of it, the educational part of it, it really changed the way that I think about my own body. And, in the beginning of the program, I had trouble, trying to see where it fit with me, because I thought about my body and my pain differently than I think most people do. But when I've come to the end, I do realize that maybe I'm a little more typical than I thought. Because now when I think about, my pain, or I'm feeling, oh, there's a twinge in my neck, or, oh, I just partially dislocated my elbow or whatever, like, I now know that it's my nervous system reacting to it, not the thing that I think happened, and that I can actually, in some ways, affect change on how my nervous system reacts to it. Like, it makes me realize that I was definitely more typical. I'd, partially dislocate something and be like, oh, well, I'm screwed now. There's nothing I can do. But no, that's not true.
Typical in a sense of when, like, I'm not going to say that you're quote unquote normal or typical as an individual. You're you're unique, and I love you for that. But when it comes to, and I've said this before, and I have to be careful about the way I say that. And what I said is pain, and when we really try to hone in on the nervous system part of the pain problem, when we look at it from that perspective, pain is pain. Now, EDS is not fibromyalgia, is not carpal tunnel syndrome, is not a disc herniation. Those are different diseases and conditions and injuries, right? But like when we're looking only at could there be a problem in the nervous system, that's where there's similarities that sort of are across the board, that when it comes to your nervous system and how it's communicating pain, there are these things that can be happening. We can't look at them, we can't see them like we can see and diagnose some of these other conditions, but they're pretty common and pretty similar across the board, to varying degrees, right? We're all on the same we all experience the same things to varying degrees. So but yeah, I think it's important. You mentioned at the beginning of this conversation that you were like, I have no idea what's in this program. And I think it's maybe better for you to sort of explain what's in the program than for me. We already mentioned that there is an educational component, but like, if someone's listening and they're like, really, what did you do? What does it involve? Like, how would you describe it?
Before the program, I thought that whatever condition I had and the pain that it caused was one thing. So the educational component helped separate the thing that's causing the pain and how the nervous system responds to it. And realizing that those things are actually two different things. So it's really that, I mean, the education of how the nervous system works in response to whatever is going on in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And then I learned, I'm not sure if I was supposed to learn this, but I learned how to sort of self-talk around that issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand how me talking to myself about what my nervous system is doing can actually change what my nervous system is doing. I feel like that sounds crazy, but apparently it's a thing. So I learned how to kind of have a lot of self-talk around the nervous system and how it's responding to affect change in it. And then kind of bringing in some of the drills and things was like, once I know what's happening, here are some things that I can do besides the self-talk to affect even more positive change. So that's the way, kind of the education, understanding that the issues are two separate things, the condition you have and the nervous system reaction to it, self-talking to change my nervous system a little bit, and then some of the drills to kind of pull those pieces.
Pull it all in together.
Does that work?
Okay. I love that explanation. The way that I would kind of explain the self-talk is it's reframing your subconscious brain's understanding of what's going on in your body and putting it into a frame of mind where it's your brain is now learning to understand that your body is actually safe. I think it comes down to is this concept of the brain, the subconscious part of your brain has to believe that your body is safe because all the messages that it's been getting have been telling you you're in danger, you're in potential injury, you're about to be injured. I need to protect you and keep you safe. And so it's this shift in the subconscious brain. Part of it involves the conscious brain, which is super confusing. But it shifts you into this, like your brain now says, oh, I think I'm safe and I'm okay. And I actually don't need to protect myself from this bright light or this change in temperature or this t-shirt that I'm wearing. Like all of those things are actually not scary or dangerous. I don't need to react as if it is scary or dangerous. I don't need to protect you. So it's a weird way of saying it. And I don't have a really great way of putting it into words either. But I think it comes down to this: there is a shift in the brain, conscious and subconscious, where it now can learn to become and feel safe again.
Yeah.
And it's a process, and it takes some time, and it definitely isn't easy. I know that you struggled through that quite a bit. We
I,
had to talk our way through that a lot on our
yeah,
coaching
for
calls.
sure.
But yeah, what would you say the drills involve? Like, if someone like, are we? Is it something where you have to like sit on the floor and like, you know, um, tap or ground, or like, what do you do?
No woo woo here. It's all just science-based stuff that helps your brain figure shit out, really. I found the drills to be kind of fun and really easy, and especially kind of some of the earlier drills, like on the app and stuff. It doesn't take any energy or um, effort. Some of the later like movement drills, they take a little bit more effort, but some of the early ones, it was just, I'm doing a thing on the app and I'm like, this is fun. It's kind of, in a way, like playing a challenging video game. Like,
Mhm.
how could this actually be doing anything to my brain? Like, I couldn't imagine that it was, but it does. Like, just really simple brain drills. I don't know how to explain it without sounding crazy. I don't.
Now you understand my problem. It's the same
No.
thing.
And this is exactly why I struggled to, decide to do this program. It's not something that you can explain. You just have to do it. You don't have to believe it works. You just have to just put in the work and do the things, and there will be change. There will be change. I mean, I was so ill. I mean, I was so ill. Like, and all I did was watch the videos, learn the lessons, later on start some of the brain-based drills, and then towards the end, some of the more physical type movement drills and things. It is all I did. It did not take extreme effort. It didn't take belief. It didn't take anything woo woo. Like, it just is something that works, that when you try to describe it, you sound crazy.
That's fair. That's fair. And that's something that I struggle with all the time, is trying to get the message across of like, what is this program? Still trying to figure that out. So if anyone does have any suggestions for me to better explain what I do, let me know. um,
Well, I
um,
mean, when I learned how you learned this information, that was something that really made me think, oh, okay, this is not woo woo. This
yeah.
is science. That was really the only leap of faith that I took. Is it's science, and it sounds like this could be the one final thing
Hmm.
that works. And I am certainly living proof that it does, because I never in a million years imagined I would go from being just so ill to rolling around, having fun, smiling at people, being able to actually do things like that. Maybe I'm not like, working a 9 to 5 job and bringing in the millions or anything like that, but to go from being not just bedbound, but like so ill in bed, I couldn't think, I couldn't move, I couldn't concentrate on watching TV. I just laid there and basically wished I was dead.
Yeah.
to now I've got something every day this week that I am doing, and feel I feel perfectly fine right now. Like I've even been sitting up in my wheelchair for over an hour.
No, right.
And I actually, I mean, sure, my back hurts a little bit, but like, I'm fine. I have light shining in my face. I'm fine. I have stuff I'm going to do later on today because I'm going to be fine. Like, that is incredible. Like,
Yeah.
incredible. Like, I really never thought I would be able to do anything ever again.
Yeah. I mean, and that to me is what for me this is all about. And like knowing who you are, and most of my clients, like knowing who most of my clients are, and just seeing that transformation happen, and then knowing that you're going to use the benefits that you've got from this program to make a bigger difference and a bigger impact in this world. So like for me to help you, it doesn't stop there. You get to go out and then give back to your community and do what you were put on this planet to do. I think is so cool. Like
Yeah.
I'm just the enabler to allow like further growth and further, help and benefit and progress. And um, really, I said I'm the enabler, but like I honestly like I have to give you all the credit in the end because like the results don't come from this program unless you really put in the effort. And that is something that's so important that I try to screen people for. I don't bring just anybody into this program unless you're willing and you're committed to doing the work. And if I could say to anybody watching or listening, I would let you know like Chanda is the perfect example of what it looks like to be what you need to be a successful client in this program. And that is, I don't care if you're a big skeptic or if you're a big believer, you can be the biggest skeptic of all. But if you show up every single week, you do the work despite having those weeks where in the beginning where you were like, I wanted to unalive this week and it was horrible and I'm not sure. Like, I was like, I obviously didn't want to unalive, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so bad. You're in the darkest moments and still showing up to the program, still showing up and doing the classes, watching them over and over and over again, asking questions, telling me it was hard, and working through that struggle and the fear. And I remember how many conversations we had where you said, this is not for me. This does not apply to me. And like, we still got through that. And that's what it takes to be successful. Like, you do not have to believe in it. Like you said, you do not have to, I don't know, like have a certain diagnosis. You don't have to have a certain set of criteria to be someone who this program would benefit for. If you are coachable and you're willing to work through the struggles, because you had to, like you said, had to completely unlearn what you previously thought and believed about what was going on in your body for a lifetime and flip it on its head. Just doing that alone is not easy. It is not easy. And I think that's one reason why so many times, if there are any providers out there who do mention a nervous system thing without full context of what's going on, it comes off as like, you're crazy, it's all in your head. They might be trying to say like there is this whole nervous system thing, but I don't really know how to explain it. And that can come off wrong.
I mean, when you said pain is pain, I have heard people be told that by a doctor with literally no other explanation.
It can be very gaslighting.
Furious. I saw someone even somewhat recently who wrote like this terrible review of a doctor and sent it into complaints and all that, and I'm like, no, I mean, I see his point, but that was a terrible way to address it with no other explanation, and I would have been that angry as well. But
sure, I would have been. Even knowing what I know, I probably still would have been pissed because in that context, without the backing up supporting information to fully like explain where they're coming from, you don't know if they were just brushing you off and gaslighting you, or saying like, I really think there's something else going on here, but I don't have the time or the tools to help you address that kind of a
If
problem.
only they would just say that.
Exactly.
That would be useful.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the thing that really I understand from this program is that it doesn't matter what's triggering the pain, something very serious or something not so, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You can still affect change on your nervous system and how it responds. And that is the most mind-blowing piece of information that I learned that really kick-started the changes in my body.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't sound like it makes a lot of sense, but it does. It does when you learn it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for time's sake, I want to be respectful of your time. I know you have some stuff going on this afternoon, and also to anyone listening, to not make this super long, but I am just so grateful and honored to have been able to work with you and to have you back and share your story. I think it's going to be just super helpful for anybody else out there who needs to hear that inspiring story, that whether you do my program or not, there is something else out there that can help you start feeling better. It takes time, it takes some effort, but if you have the right system and the tools in place and the support to get through all of that, it is totally possible. And you can be like Chanda and completely go from worse than bed bound, as you put it, to working out every day. I love that you came in with that goal, and we met that goal like long before the end of the program.
Both of my goals were met. And, like you said before, like I still have the physical conditions that cause and trigger my pain, but I'm now able to manage my nervous system to make that way less. So I'm not sitting here saying I am in no pain at all, ever. Like, no, that's not realistic. I have multiple genetic conditions that cause pain like that. It's going to be there, but being able to manage it and being able to, function much more than I was before. Like that's, when you say that you liked working with me or whatever, like no, this is like meeting you, going through your program, and you giving me the gift of life. Like there is nothing more important than that, being able to use your body to exist in the world. There is no bigger gift than that. I don't care what it costs.
Yeah.
There's no bigger gift. And I can't even begin to thank you for putting a program together that helps people like me and that can help so many more people. And I wish I could just gather everyone that I know that's in pain and send them to you and make them do this program, because just like me, I know there's millions of people out there that are like, I don't know, and I just want to be like, just, oh my God, just do it. Please. It's a gift knowing it.
Well, I'm feeling all the feels right now. It's so rewarding to get that kind of feedback, and it really puts it into perspective. Like, why are we here? Why am I doing this? And because it's not an easy population to work with. I know that a lot of providers look at me and go, wow, why would you want to work with people with chronic pain? You can't do anything about that. And so no, it's not easy, but it puts it into perspective of like why why do I do this? And I think it's the reason I'm here on this planet, and I'm just keep chugging along. And so I really mean it. It has been an honor to work with you and a pleasure getting to know you. I want to come out to where you live and hang out with you. Like we need to have.
Come on over. I got fuzzy puppies in the background there.
I don't see them today, but I'm like very familiar with you and your pups. So I feel like we should go hang out at a winery and, whatever, write some.
Well, I'm putting all of the tools that you taught me to use, and I could show you a good time out here in these parts because I have energy and ability, and
Love
I'm
it.
able to, accomplish goals. That's amazing. Like,
Yes. And now there's like opportunity for new goals, which is what I'm hoping for you. I'm like, what's the next thing? You've got those goals checked off. Now we need a new goal. Let's think even bigger.
I'm certainly getting back into my disability education. I'm able to go places and educate businesses on, how to interact with disabled people and how, what to do with service dogs. I'm doing an Instagram, which is the theme is let's be seen as wheelchair users. And I pretty much have to go out multiple times a week, have my husband take pictures of me, like, and I'm able to do all of this. I mean, I might only have like couple thousand followers, but still, like, I would have never been able to go anywhere to do anything, to do any education, to like, I wouldn't have been able to do any of this. So I'm already making more bigger goals.
I love that. And on that note, would you like to share your Instagram information? If anyone's listening, they can check you out and learn from you and your disability advocacy.
Yeah. So my Instagram, the theme is let's be seen as wheelchair users. I go out places and just take pictures of myself and show, accessibility wins or fails, just fun little things like that. Just making the world aware that wheelchair users exist. And my Instagram is chanda.hagen. So it's CHANDA.HAGEN. And if you want to follow, cool. If you're not interested in that, totally fine.
Yes, and I do follow you, and I think it's so fun seeing you out and about, and it really has helped me to be more aware of the barriers that folks with wheelchair users, or anyone with a disability who have to use mobility aids for any matter, are dealing with, and the struggle that entails. And so it spread awareness for me. And so I appreciate that. I think it's really a valuable service that you're doing. So go follow Chanda, and if you have any questions, cool, reach out, follow her on Instagram, and that's it, I guess. We'll say thank you again. Any last words you'd like to share? Anything?
If anyone is considering this program and you are unsure or you don't have a lot of money to spend, do it. Do it. You will not regret it. There's my husband back there.
I love you guys. You guys are the best. Yes. So thank you so much, Chanda, for joining me today. And to anyone listening, thank you for tuning in. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.